So, with Piccolo's consciousness cleared, will he ever return to being cool Mr. Piccolo on Earth? Hey folks, MasakoX here. Yes, I know, it's been a year since we last met this discussion in the face and gave it its time to shine, but I really was struggling to come up with a way that we could wrap this story up in a way that would be compelling. You see, if I didn't do it in a way that would be worthwhile, a lot of stuff would have been the same as the original. But having said that though, this what if was quite a good question to ask originally. What if Piccolo, having redeemed himself, or at least started his journey towards redemption, never saved Gohan in the Saiyan saga? Well, the answer here is a lot would change. Piccolo was profoundly affected by the loss of Gohan at such a young age. He felt that he had let the kid down he had grown so close to, despite originally wishing to milk his talents and powers for his own personal gain. Instead, he came to really like the little pipsqueak. It wasn't like he didn't try to rescue him or anything, or stop him from being blasted. It was worse. He didn't make it in time, and thusly saw Gohan's body being vaporized right in front of him, inches in front of him. It shook the Namekian to the core, and thusly he set about doing everything he could to bring himself closer to the Dragon Team and help bring Gohan back as soon as possible. Even without the influence of other Namekians in his consciousness yet, the son of King Piccolo wanted to do his bit and atone for his error. If he hadn't kidnapped Gohan, Gohan would still be around. In the last part, Piccolo and Nail had fused, both at equal power instead of Piccolo being relatively small to Nail's ki in the original, and this led to a massively strong fusion of Namekians. I mean, like, we're talking Android Saga strong way too early. Namekian fusion power levels are quite hard to fathom at the best of times, but suffice to say, it would have been far greater than what we got in the actual saga. Zarbon and Dodoria were quickly dispatched, and this was before the fusion, without any trouble, when they came for Guru, and the Elder charges the fusion to go and fight Frieza as best they can, relieving Nail of his duties, while the Dragon Balls are still in existence. With Frieza not calling the Ginyu Force out of sheer pig-headedness and a false sense of bravado, his time fighting the new fusion was laughably short. And yes, I know I got the thumbnail wrong, but that's besides the point. Piccolo and Nail, now as one, immediately used their power to great effect and totally vaporized Frieza, just like Nappa did with Gohan. With Gohan now revived thanks to the Namekian Dragon Balls, Piccolo decides to stay with the Namekians, at least for a little while. That's because there's a more assertive Nail within him to wait out the clock until Guru passes, then see what happens next. We resume the story when the gang had left for Earth and Piccolo had chosen to remain on Namek. With Nail taking more of a role in the decision making this time around in this consciousness, the fusion set about the rebuilding of their people as best as he could. In fact, maybe improve it. This Piccolo was already pretty keen to learn more about his heritage, but with Nail now taking more of a front seat along for the ride, he knew just about everyone on the planet. That wasn't exactly hard to do since there were only 100 or so Namekians alive right now. That was something that needed to be rectified sooner rather than later. With this newfound vigour and seemingly limitless power, we're going to be guessing somewhere in the region of 1.6 billion, seeing as how most fusions are about multiplying power. Piccolo is the strongest being in the universe right now, obviously with the exception of a certain Canon Angel. With Guru's time running out, he takes Piccolo aside and lays out his vision for the future of Namek.
Dear Piccolo, Nail, you too have saved our people from a horrific evil. Nay, you may have saved the entire galaxy with removing Frieza. We are in your debt. It pleases me so to see this planet free and at peace once more, safe in our own little corner of the universe. Perhaps with you by our side, we can become a force for good, not just for this world, but others too. It saddens me so, though I won't be here to see that. But I know that I leave this task in your capable hands. Thank you, my friends.
Piccolo nods and vows to do what he can for the Namekians. Not long after that, the torch is indeed passed to Elder Mori, like in the original, and the small gaggle of slug people see their dear former leader disappear from view. With Mori now taking charge, the Dragon Balls were now at their full capacity again. Mori chose to maintain the status quo, mostly Guru's legacy, and looked to Piccolo as well as part of the rebuilding of the Namekian race.
Piccolo, Nail, what should I call you?
Said a confused elder.
It doesn't really matter. You're getting through to the right person. So what do you want?
Piccolo was still showing his aloof nature, which did sometimes catch Mori off guard, unlike Nail's more gentle touch.
Well, I don't know where to start. With restoring our world to glory, we've been so content with our lot as of late. I'm afraid that our ambition has taken a bit of a back seat in order for us to survive.
Grunted Piccolo.
It's quite obvious that's the case. Fortunately for you, my father was quite the ambitious type, although the end result wasn't as wholesome as you might care for. No matter, I can help you.
Mori looked pleased to hear that, as well as the notion that Piccolo wasn't planning anything nefarious or immoral. A couple of weeks after that, Piccolo was training some of the warrior clan members, and he was pleased to see their progress. With Nail's soft touch and Piccolo's martial arts skills, these warriors were quickly getting the hang of what to expect. Not only that, but he could expect to see more warriors as more Namekians were being hatched. That mission was going on in the background as well as basic training. But there was one thing that Piccolo and the fusion needed to make clear. This was the main thing that would change between Elder Guru and Elder Mori. The notion of fusion not being a taboo. Before now, fusion had been considered a forbidden technique, something that you could never do, as well as being impractical given how few Namekians there were at the time. But with Mori in charge and willing to listen to Piccolo's advice, the art of fusion was slowly being normalized within society that people could talk openly about it without people going shh in a twist. Piccolo sort of got what his father wanted, to be in charge of a planet. Albeit this time around, it was a much more amiable manner rather than a tyrannical monarchy that the king had originally intended. Suddenly, Piccolo got called away by a message from King Kai. It was a relay from Gohan. He flew some distance away from the warriors and took the call.
Mr. Piccolo, how are ya?
Asked a happy Gohan.
I'm doing well, Gohan. Namek's in good hands. I hope you've been studying hard or whatever it is you do.
Oh, for sure. Dad's also been training me up a little since he heard how good of a teacher you were.
Piccolo chuckled.
Good. I hope he's as hard as I was.
Gohan paused for a moment.
So when are you gonna come back, Mr. Piccolo?
Piccolo nervously shifted himself.
Yeah, about that. You see, Gohan, I don't plan on coming back anytime soon. These people clearly need me. Also, this fusion of mine is quite besotted to them.
Gohan paused again.
Oh, he said meekly. Does that mean you're never coming back?
Piccolo remained stoic.
Remember your training, Gohan. There's no place for getting upset about such things. Besides, I didn't say I would never return. If you guys need my help, I will come. And hopefully, he looks to his warrior students, I can bring backup.
Gohan sniffles and then says he looks forward to seeing him again, hopefully. Piccolo reckoned that, thanks to Goku's tendency to get into sticky situations, that it won't be long until he's actually called upon, which makes Gohan laugh a little. With that, the two then have an awkward pause before Piccolo speaks.
Gohan, I'm sorry.
Huh? Sorry for what?
For not saving you in time. If I hadn't kidnapped you before, you wouldn't have been caught up in any of this mess.
Don't worry about it, Mr. Piccolo. I knew you'd come through for me. And you did. So no being sad, okay?
Piccolo laughed.
Okay. Well, I'll see you around, kid.
See you, Mr. Piccolo.
The communication ceased, and Piccolo was left there for a moment to think. He turned back to his students and pressed on. Years pass, and communication with Earth has been minimal to practically non-existent. In that time, Namek has been busy. Hundreds of Namekians have now been hatched, and the first initial babes have now started to reach initial adulthood, like Piccolo grew very quickly, when Piccolo Jr. was fighting Goku in the martial arts tournament. With these warrior and dragon clan younglings coming to maturity, all thanks to the more rigorous and bountiful diet of Namek, the students of Piccolo are now each breaking the millions in power, and with Bulma's Namekian ship left on Namek, its technology was being looked at too, because remember, old Namekians were actually quite technologically advanced, and they actually started to explore the notion of space travel once more. The Namekians regaining their ambitions slowly but surely, but still remaining humble. something implored by Mori. There needed to be more of a change in ethos, unlike the complete past. Needless to say, the Namekians were more than capable of defending themselves now, and perhaps one day they could help others in need too, paying the Dragon Team's efforts forward. However, one day, Piccolo was contacted by King Kai. Bad news from Earth. The Dragon Team had been dealing with a major case of androids, despite a guy from the future coming to warn them prior.
Sounds like you might be needed, Piccolo. I reckon these goons are gonna wipe the floor with Goku and the others, even with Goku's new power.
What? What new power?
Oh, you didn't know? Goku's become the legendary Super Saiyan!
Legendary what?
You see, because Frieza was taken out so quickly, Goku's journey to Golden Locks was only just realized, and this led to the Dragon Team's power being much lower than in the original.
Huh. Now this I gotta see.
Glad to hear you answered my question for me, but how are you gonna get to Earth fast enough? You're like miles away.
Don't worry, I got a plan for that. Tell him I'm on my way.
With that, Piccolo ordered the Dragon Balls be used at once to transport him to Earth. With the dragon ready to go a couple of hours later, Piccolo then paused.
Hey, Mima.
Mima, this Namekian from the game Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan Densetsu on the SNES, stepped forward.
You've been standing out a lot lately. I think it's time I rewarded your efforts. When I get back, I want to fuse with you.
Mima gasped. This was a big deal. He'd then become part of the Great Piccolo, the person who would help bring such bounty to Namek with Elder Mori, as well as guaranteeing their safety. Thanks to Piccolo normalizing the notion of fusion, the act of it now was more like a badge of honor rather than being something kept in the dark. Mima nodded, and with that, Piccolo headed off for Earth. When he got there, he could sense powers being snuffed out left, right, and center. The Dragon Team was struggling, badly.
Damn it, this is bad. Why didn't they contact me sooner?
He charged forward, and within minutes, he could see the sight before him. Tenshinhan and Yamcha had been picked off by two beings, that of course being Dr. Gero and Android 19. And as for Goku, well, he was doing his best against the larger of the two, even with this new gold hair. What Piccolo could see was that the Dragon Team were elated to see him, especially Gohan. Piccolo could sense that their energy and their powers were quite small in comparison to his, even after almost 4 years apart.
They've been slacking. I thought they would have caught up with me already, or at least gotten close.
He was cursing under his breath, but Piccolo still flew down to help them, punching Android 19 square in the jaw, sending him flying for miles. Goku, catching his breath, was happy to see his friend again.
Hey, Piccolo! What are you doing here?
Saving your sorry hides, Goku. Why didn't you contact me sooner?
Oh, well, Gohan told us not to. He said you were busy with stuff, and we thought we didn't need to call you also, so, I guess we're wrong there.
Goku was looking a little sheepish, and Piccolo then looked to Gohan, who was equally nervous.
I'm sorry, Mr. Piccolo. I didn't want to disturb you or anything. You sounded like you were busy, and I didn't want to bother you.
Gohan! Growled Piccolo. I told you I would come if you needed me! Lucky for you lot, Porunga is active, so he can help bring back your friends. But for now...
He could sense 19 fast approaching again, and rushed off to utterly crush him. Piccolo's power now around about 2 billion. That's about slightly more than Super Vegeta at this point. With Gero utterly bemused by Piccolo's unexpected boost, his last data about the Namekian was from the Saiyan saga, he immediately escaped instead of grandstanding. Thanks to androids not giving out energy, the group were left clueless as to where to go. However, Piccolo's power was the talk of the town. With Vegeta not being here because he was off in the first part, and Trunks being replaced by future Gohan, who had yet to arrive, there was no other power, other than Goku, sort of, to counter.
We'd better go after that droid before he causes more trouble.
This is when Bulma arrives, and she gives the info about where to go. North City, in a cave, and with no further time to lose, Piccolo rushes off with Bulma's directions in mind, and the Dragon Team following some way behind. When they did get there, the Doctor had started to activate androids 17 and 18, and future Gohan had arrived a further distance behind the Dragon Team, realizing that these droids that had been dealt with weren't the versions he had. As the group surveyed Gero, Piccolo asked Goku about the Super Saiyan power.
Honestly, I'm kinda disappointed.
Piccolo, come on. It's like way stronger than my base form. I wish you were around to train with me, honestly.
Yeah, well, you can thank your kid for being assuming.
He could have given Gohan an additional scowl, but he didn't want to upset him any further. With no time to lose, Piccolo led the charge into the laboratory and saw 17 and 18 dispatching the doctor and then just milling around. Then future Gohan arrived, and he was aghast to see Mr. Piccolo! Piccolo turned expecting little Gohan, but then saw the future version. What was going on here? And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you folks think? How will this battle and aftermath go down with future Gohan seeing this surprise? Will Piccolo be strong enough to deal with 3 androids at once? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!